Hi, so I just got back home from my photo shoot with my new hat patterns. Yes, I'm doing a collection of hat patterns, which weirdly enough I have never done before. I don't know what I've been doing either, but it's coming now. So I just thought I'd talk you through the hats. So let's start off with first hat out. I mean, they're not in any particular order really, but we're just gonna start with Nudebakken. This is Nudebakken. Obviously named after the cardigan, which had the opposite colors, but it is the exact same yarn, exact same chart. If you don't know, Nudebakken is actually the area or street, shall we say, where my grandparents used to live. So it's just kind of like, you know, there's a very simple hat. This is like my go-to hat. Honestly, if they were up to me, all these hats would look like this one, but you know, we went for a variety, and so yeah, I'm really pleased with this hat. You can see it's got a good slouch, not too much. By the way, if anyone here does not like slouchy hats, literally the only thing you do differently is to start the decreasing sooner. That is the only difference between a slouched hat and a regular hat. So you can actually make all these hats either slouchy or non-slouchy. Well, with one exception, which I'm going to get to next. But yeah, this is Nudebakken. Rauwerk sport weight merino. You can also use, of course, my usual yarn, Osk, Finu, you know, the whole drill. I really like this. I really like the colors. Obviously, they're very me. And I'm gonna guess out of all these hats, it's probably the one that's gonna get the most wear now that the photos are taken and I can do whatever I want with them. So yeah, this is the hat that's probably not gonna be convertible to a slouch hat. It's not very slouchy at the moment, obviously. You can see at the back here. We are hoping that wasn't free. So yeah, you can, whoa, excuse me. You can raise it a bit and have a slight slouch if you want that. It's just kind of nice fit to the head. And yeah, this is of course Stonewood, made after the Stonewood sweater and in the exact same yarn. You will notice that with, yeah, all of these, I actually just use my leftover yarns from each of the sweaters, which is kind of the theme of this collection if you haven't caught on already. All the hats are named after and even designed after the sweaters and cardigans that I have, and I use leftover yarns for all of them. So yeah. So Stonewood's pretty straightforward. It is actually the only hat that has the decreases as part of the chart, because I thought if I'm going to take the elements from the yoke, I will take that and put that into here, so you have a kind of hat that is worked sort of like a Icelandic yoke, but it's a hat. I know, cool. It's made in Aroma Vams, which is kind of iron, chunky. I will say with all of these hats in this collection, if you want to substitute yarn and you want to change the weight, always go for heavier and instead of finer. You can obviously go with the same, but if you are going to go for a different weight, I would go with heavier rather than finer, because the gauge is already a little bit on the loose side. So if you're going to make them for, say, a warmer climate, you're probably going to want thicker yarns. This sweater you can't actually get yet. It is part of the Knit with Attitude 10th anniversary collection. So I used the same yarn as the sweater has, which is Blåne by Hillesvåg. It is pelt wool. I wish the cat would be more quiet. And yeah, it's as it says on the tin. Very simple pattern. Easily one of the simplest hat patterns in the collection, although I would argue that they are all pretty easy. I can't talk. It's one of those days. I have a lot of those days. Now, matching the Corsa Kosokov sweater pattern, which, if my predictions are correct, will come after this collection. I made a hat. This is probably the hat in the collection that surprised me the most. That's probably the most out of my comfort zone, and it actually fits me really well. It's more like a kind of hood of a hat. It's got a little slouch. Again, if you don't like slouch, just decrease sooner, you get a fitted hat like this. I just kind of wanted a slouch, so you know, that's what you get. Yeah, you can see the chart is happening here. There's a full, so there's no rib on this one, which fits so well. And I actually had an early edition of this pattern that I decided to not go with, but a test knitter of mine had that version and didn't get the latest update by accident, and so she did that version, and I decided I like that version, so I'll include that version in the pattern as well, so you kind of get two versions of this one. And the difference is that there will be a stripe and lice pattern, so there will be dots, so that's kind of like a bonus if you like that. Yeah. So that's the Corsa Kosokov hat, I used Excelana DK by Susan Crawford, and it's just really nice and soft and warm. Yeah, it's a DK weight yarn if I didn't say that, and you can use DK or worsted, I should say. And here's the hat that kind of was the inspiration for this whole collection, because the Isbre sweater has this very interesting chart where I use something that I believe is called jacquard. Anyway, it's a method to avoid these incredibly long floats that you would have otherwise had between these very long spots here. There are no long floats here. Why? Because we used a really cool method. As you can see on the inside here. Look at that. It looks like they're like hidden stitches, if you will, if you see these. So there will be a tutorial for that, and you can use that tutorial for the sweater pattern as well. I am finally able to show you now that I could record me doing this technique whilst making the hat. So, and it fits so well. You may notice that, and you may think, I don't know what you think, that maybe some of these hats are a little bit big. I have included a minimum of 3 sizes for each of these hats. Some have up to, I think, 5 sizes, and the largest size is quite big because my head is quite big. But also I wanted to make hats for people with more voluminous hair. It's a word now. Larger hair, because I don't think a lot of hat patterns cater to that at the moment, which I find very strange. So I made that. You can get hat patterns for very large heads or very large hair, depending on what you need. And yeah, so that's the hat. Again, we have a bit of a slouch. And that's that. This is, of course, in my favorite yarn, Doma Finul. And I did actually have to do a little bit of a trick with this one, because there is a very big chart repeat. And so I could really only attain 2 sizes if I were to do that. So I actually changed up the gauge as well, so it really doesn't make a difference. It just meant that I could accommodate for more sizes. I think at the end I ended up with 4 or 5. So we actually have a broad range of sizes despite the massive chart repeat. So that's Isbre. We have the hat pattern for the Ultra cardigan, or it could also be a hat pattern for the Ultra yoke, because they have the same chart. I did use the leftover yarn for the Ultra cardigan, and it is this triple folded hat. Yes, triple. I am gonna call myself out right on the spot here, and I will let you know that there is actually a difference in the pattern from this hat, because I accidentally put the fold so close to the end of the chart here that you almost missed the chart. So I've actually added a little bit of length, and I'll have you work more stockinette before you end up with the pearl, because otherwise it's really easy for these pearl stitches to start showing on this side, and I didn't want that. So that's something I've actually changed up in the pattern. I wish I had known before I made this hat. Also, I have made the largest size, which is arguably a little bit big on me. So thankfully there are a lot of smaller sizes, which I should probably maybe have made. Yep. You live and you learn. So that's the Ultra hat. So with my best hat hair, this is the hat collection. It's got 6 different hats. Well, technically this one has 2 versions, so you kind of sort of get 7. It's not terrible, is it? So I hope you will enjoy this. I hope it's going to come in good time before the holidays if you are making gifts for people. And yeah, I just hope you will enjoy this collection. Finally, my first ever hat collection.